I wrote, or actually was interviewed by the folks at Popular Mechanics for their online whatever a couple of days ago, and some people have read it and seem to enjoy it. And it was about the big three, and it was about the bailout, where they're heading, and so on and so forth. And I got a few compliments on it and thought, well, maybe I should just read it on air and get people familiar with it. And by the way, I think you can go to my website if you want to link to it. But I also thought, why should I read it? I'm a crappy reader. Let Teresa earn her money. She could read it, and we could just comment about it. Now, there's two reasons I'm doing this. Actually, three. Don Rickles is not on the phone yet.
That's one.
Number two, Don Rickles is not on the phone yet. Number three, as soon as Teresa gets one paragraph into this, Don Rickles will come on to the phone.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So this will summon Don Rickles if I haven't jinxed it by saying it out loud.
So this is a Q&A with Popular Mechanics. They first describe you, funny man, car guy, and host of both NBC's upcoming Top Gear USA and the Adam Carolla Show on KLSX Radio in Los Angeles. Adam Carolla tells PM, that's Popular Mechanics, in no uncertain terms that the years of poor product coming from GM and the rest of Detroit brought these companies to the brink. So the first question they pose to you is, do you support the idea of bailing out the auto industry? Here is your answer. Every car guy, or maybe even every American, is torn because we hate to see these marquees we've grown up with go away. But the thing about American car companies is that they have been making a subpar product for a lot of years. Remember when the Japanese crept into the market? Instead of reacting, we all had a laugh about it. We blinked our eyes, and they had the lion's share of the market. Somewhere around the early 80s, we started to realize we were getting our butts kicked by these little efficient Japanese cars. So we needed to start focusing on smaller, more fuel-efficient cars and quality. We kind of got our act together. Then we started cruising again with Hummers and Denali's. We took our eye off the ball. When you take a look at many American cars today, these aren't bad products. They're just not as good as Audi, Volkswagen, Mercedes, or Lexus. The list goes on and on. When you see some of the stuff that Pontiac in particular has been doing for the last 20 years, it's insulting. And the interiors especially are insulting. I gotta say, every time I see one of those Pontiacs, I just want to throw up in my mouth.
Yes, like the Aztec and all the fake scoops. And really, it's calling your buyer dumb when you create something that's ridiculous and expect them to spend $25K for it. Sorry, T, continue.
Even vets, and I assume you mean Corvettes.
Yes.
Even vets, up until about 10 minutes ago, were sort of laughable from an interior standpoint. Really, an 89 Jetta had a nicer interior than an 04 Vet. The buttons were too big. The gauges looked bad. The finish wasn't great. Let's face it, the product wasn't there, and they've had plenty of opportunities to correct it. I don't understand it. We can build the greatest fighter planes on the planet. It's not like technology is the problem. There is no reason why there should be this kind of separation between Europe, Japan, and us. Everyone wants to make the product issue about price. But I had a Mini Cooper S for a couple years. That car was sturdy, and it looked good. It was smart, it was fast, and it was fun. And that's a relatively inexpensive car.
Yes, the point is everyone goes, well, of course, a Mercedes is $80,000. You can't compare it to the Dodge Neon or whatever. But there are other small cars that are in the same range that are still superior, that are made in Germany and Japan and other places. And technologically, yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, whatever country has the best military on the planet should make the best cars on the planet. It's really sort of technology meets industrial might. I don't understand why we're doing this.
Yeah, I've been shopping lately for a Mini for my dad, as you know, because you recommended it. And you can find one that's a year old, practically new, maybe 15,000 miles for 20 grand.
Or cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, it's not an unaffordable car, and basically it's a BMW.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, they went on to ask you, but what about some of the new muscle cars, like the new Camaro and Challenger that Detroit is building? Those are exciting, right? Adam responds, I'm not into American muscle myself. I never really fully understood it. I mean, I understand the big horsepower, but I never really got into the leaf spring suspension and the live rear axle and the iron block and the push rods. I take a look at those Mopars that everyone goes nuts for at the auctions.
Dodge. Yes.
I see the bad pistol grip handle with the fake wood on it and the fake wood steering wheel and all the vinyl and plastic. I'm not turned on by it, so I'm not what you call a musclehead.
This is like Freaky Friday, watching Teresa say Adam's thoughts. It sounds like you, but it's her voice.
Wait a second, do you want to say some of my thoughts?
Let's
Probably
see.
not.
How about we head to the corner for a schmear? Yeah. Now, I'm Lindsay Lohan, and you're Jamie?
Yeah.
Okay. What's
I'm
the name
Jamie
of the boy
Curtis.
you have a crush
or Barbara
on?
Harris and Jodie Foster.
Well, you knew the jazz singer before I did, so I think you were already in my head.
Yes. All right,
I'm in
let's
yours.
bring it home before Rickles calls.
So all the American companies can think to do these days is reintroduce the Camaro, Challenger, and Mustang. They're literally looking in their rearview mirror when Europe and Japan are looking through the windshield. I'm waiting for a day in the future when Chrysler or Ford pulls the sheet off something at an auto show and it's a horse. Not a Mustang, not a Pinto, it's actually a horse. They'll go so retro, it's actually a living horse. These companies should be looking forward. I don't know what happened with GM. I know 10 years ago GM had an electric car and they took them all back and put them in a crusher. So should we bail out the company that has crushed the first modern working electric car? I don't think so. Now they have a new plug-in electric car called the Volt. What happened to the one from 10 years ago? And what have they been doing for the last 10 years? For me, it is sort of tough love time.
Mm-hmm. And one last thought about Audi, and I'll just paraphrase that because it reminds me, people want to know, like, well, what about the prejudice against American cars? How long is it going to take people to buy an American car after this? Think back. Audi was in the toilet in the early 90s. Audi was a joke. Nobody bought Audis, and you would have talked any friend of yours who was buying a used car out of buying a used Audi because they were junk. Now look at Audi. What happened? They made good products. The people came to the